Hey, it's Keith from Outlaw Speed Shop. This week I am tackling a customer-supplied Mustang. This is how I got it from a longtime client, John. And he wanted a few things done. Obviously, he wanted it painted, but he wanted the roof fixed a little bit. Seemed to be kind of banged in slightly. Looks like he had put some M2 wheels on it. The fronts rolled pretty decent. The backs were not so good as far as the rolling part of it, so I figured I'd tackle that as well. And this is a long project. If you like the content, make sure you subscribe and ring the bell. So this is if you could tell, I'm wearing a sweatshirt. That's how long ago I started this. It was, I think, God, maybe February, January. I'm not sure. But anyways, first thing I'm going to tackle is the roof. And I didn't see it that much at first until he pointed it out, but it was slightly banged in. So I'm just taking my mallet and I'm just kind of slowly forming the metal just slightly enough to put a little bit of a radius back into the roof, because it was very flat, I guess you could say, instead of the normal curve that would be in a roof. So obviously you can't hit it too hard, so it's hard to tell obviously on camera, but I'm just kind of tapping it. So after I've got that where I think it's okay, in order to get my wheels to roll, the way I decided to go this time was to use a piece of styrene as an axle tube. So the M2 wheels, obviously I would glue onto the axle itself, because the axle doesn't go all the way through like on a Hot Wheels. So this would allow me to, fabricate ahead of time, so I can actually glue the axle tube in, and it also lowers it a little bit so it sits inside the wheel well just a smidge more, because it sat way too low and the gap between the top of the wheel and the bottom of the wheel well was atrociously large. So this helped with my spacing issues as well. The front, again, was not an issue for some reason. It fit perfectly, and I didn't have to really touch it at all. So the next thing I'm going to do is obviously widen just a little bit, because it doesn't need to sit all the way down, but I need to widen the original gap that the axle sat in, the original Hot Wheels axle, just so that I can get it down just a little bit low. I always play around back and forth with my heights, and if you watch any of my videos, to me, my biggest issue is getting a stance to what I think should be good and what I'm after. So I put a lot of detail and attention into making sure I get that proper. So here I kind of have it in, but obviously it's not. I'm not gluing it yet, so I'm just gonna press down with my screwdriver to make sure it's gonna actually work fine, which it does, and that solves that problem right there. And again, I apologize to John. This was a project that just got out of hand. I have a bunch of customer cars that I've got to get done that I've just, attention deficit. I start a project and then I want to do something else and inspiration strikes, so I just kind of bounce back and forth. I always get like 8 projects going at once. But my goal is before the end of summer to have everybody's stuff done. That way I can only focus on what I want to as far as my own projects, so that way I'm not disappointing anybody if I'm bouncing around. So I'm using a bunch of different wire attachments for my Dremel to polish and get all the any residue that's left on the body, inside and out, off completely, so that I've got a fresh casting to work with and there's no oxidation or nothing. The casting itself wasn't the greatest. I'm using some 360 grit right here to sand out some of the little bit deeper imperfections that are in the actual body. I mean, they were everywhere. And I bounce back and forth. I sand a little bit. I Scotch-Brite to almost not polish per se, but to get it nice and smooth, just to kind of see where I'm at, so I don't go too far, and make sure I've gone far enough. Obviously, the roof, when you use any kind of tool on the die cast, it leaves a mark. So I'm going to be hitting that with some automotive grade spot putty. You could use the Tamiya putty if you want. I have better luck with the Glazing Putty. You can pretty much pick up any AutoZone, O'Reilly's, or Pep Boys, anything like that. And I'm just going to slowly put it on. It wasn't that bad, but and I know I'm going to be putting a decal over this, but I want to make sure that I get it as close as I can. So for 1 or 2 coats of this glazing putty can solve a problem. It's not that big of a deal. It dries fairly quick, so it's not holding you up too bad. And again, once it's dry, I hit it with the 360, and then I'll hit it with, I think I use 600, and then I hit it again with 1200, just to make sure that it's, because sometimes there's some real fine scratches in this stuff, and you just can't see it until you actually primer it. Then you gotta, it's a pain in the ass. So I try to get as close as I can right off the bat before I prime. And it makes a mess, so just so you know. So here it is, back from the paint booth. It's all primed up, ready to go. I use the Stino Res on this. I kind of alternate back and forth. So I'm going to go with the dark aluminum paint from Splash. And once that's done, I'm going to use, this is also Splash. It's black, but I don't put it on heavy. I put it on just enough. And when you put it over the aluminum, it gives it almost a bronzy, brownish, I have no freaking clue what color it is, but it looks really cool. But it's not black. If I would have kept going and put a few more coats on it to get it black, then obviously it works awesome. So John, halfway through this project, he wanted, he had seen my duster that I did that was 22 a day, about 22 vets a day that commit suicide, and he wanted the same thing on his. So it worked out good. So that's kind of why I painted this the way I did. Obviously, I don't have a printer that prints white, so on a lighter silver in this case, or aluminum background, it's perfect. So I had some leftover decals from when I did the duster, and it works out really well. When I do my decals, I print out, oh God, pretty much a whole sheet. And, you know, I kind of measure out what size I need, but I do varying sizes. I'll do 10 or 15 different sizes just because I know I'm not going to need them all. But sometimes once you get it on there, it just doesn't look right. So a smaller or slightly larger, you know, just having a choice really helps. So that's what I did in this case. I cut out a couple, put them on the roof in this case to see what it was going to look like, and I picked the one that was going to fit the best without having too much dead space around it. And this was, again, any of these 22 a day projects that I do, I really enjoy, and it helps me feel like I'm bringing awareness to something, and hopefully John likes this. He didn't really give me any parameters. He just said, do what you want. I've done a lot of projects for him in the past, so I love having that freedom when it comes to having a, you know, somebody say, hey, can you build me a car? And you do what you want. I trust you. And it really just makes things a lot easier for me. I don't feel like I'm screwing up somebody's crap, so which I have done many, many times. But I hope you guys are doing well. I know my videos are somewhat inconsistent as far as timing goes. I got a lot going on, and I apologize, but I'm doing the best I can to keep bringing you guys fresh content. This was a long project, and I did lose a little bit of footage, but for the most part, I got it all. And once I've done this decal area, I clear coat, and then I use my chrome pen on all the lights, and then I just go over them with my clear pens, you know, red and yellow and so on and so forth, pearl white. I didn't touch the interior. I didn't touch the glass. You can see right there what I'm dealing with. And the end result is this. John, I hope you like it. I'll be sending them off to you probably once the clear coat cures, so another few days. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. Stick around. I've got some more video and pictures of this car. I will catch you on the next one.